Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce myself. I began my research on education system in the 1980s. I am known in Hungary in the pedagogical field as the initiator of the cooperative learning system. Developing the methodology, I visited many schools. Discussing with school directors, I've noticed a strange process. At the beginning of the 1980s, there were only 1-2 children with behavioral disorder in the classes. 5 years later, the number increased to 10-15. It means attention deficit disorder, dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyscalculia, and so on. It was so massive that in 1985, the Public Educational Act raised school age from 6 to 7 years. I thought that couldn't be accidental. There must have been something important in the background. 13 years later, I was confronted with the demographic crisis of Hungary. On the map, you can see the population change in the last 10 years. Yellow fields shows population increase, blue ones population decline. Between these 3,000 settlements of Hungary, population declines typical in 2001. On the next graph, you can see 10 years the number of believers decreased by 25% in Hungary. Many studies justify the role of religion as an important indicator of mental health. Therefore, isn't neutral the question which factors may influence the formation of the religion's worldview ideology. So in this lecture, I would like to speak about the demographic data and trends of Hungary, about the effectiveness of the interventions, and about the new approach of the attachment theory focused on this problem. After I would like to speak about the unknown connection of the babysitting with the population decline and religiosity. Then I would speak some idea of the family history in the last century and the consequences. Processes what had to suffer our people if we can't stop the crisis. At the end, I would speak about the solutions in an interdisciplinary approach. If you see the next graph, which shows the fertility rates of the different European countries, indicates the fertility rates in the last 20 years. This indicator means that 2 adults, how many children brought up in average. The graph shows that the Western and Northern Europe countries are close to the level of sustainability. The East European countries are excessively low. Hungary's fertility rate, the red line, is one of the lowest. The next graph shows the live births in Hungary in the last 100 years. After the Second World War, the baby boom period, which worldwide increased the number of the births, in Hungary was similar. In 1953 was blocked the abortion. After 1 year of increasing the numbers of births, in 9 years, you can see, was born 100,000 children less. In 1967, to help the families, the government introduced the child care allowance. This means women was allowed to stay at home for 3 years with their children. The result was 10% increasing. From 1973, the families with 3 children received a new flat from the state. These two interventions, with the big number of the baby boom generation, entered in the parenthood, resulted the second wave of increasing. After the second wave, since today, the number of live births is continuously decreasing. We can see the third wave, despite the financial support. In 1984, was introduced the child care fee. In 2011, the family tax benefit. The result, these two financial interventions could not change the declining trend. If the financial support do not help to have more children, what could be the reason? With the attachment theory of John Bowlby, American psychologist, we could understand why Hungarians do not want more children. The ability of the trust of the personality could be formed in the first year of life. There are two extreme cases. If the mother, properly sensitive and open to care the baby, creates a secure attachment for the child. Trust in other people, strong ability of parental care in the adult period. The baby who experiences that her mother watch her or him, establishes his or her spiritual needs and the relationship with good, which inherits through generations through epigenetic regulation. If the mother is not sensitive, the baby learns she couldn't influence the mother, the other people. He or she couldn't learn the trust, the love. Only yourself can count on, and in the adult age, will have weak ability of parental care. Her or his sensitivity relationship with good, which based on the trust in the mother, can't recover. Now, let's see. What happened to the Hungarian society in the last century? You can see on the graph, in the Stalinist period, industrialization took place in Hungary. Women had to work in factories. The graph shows that the employment rate increased from 25% to 75% in 20 years. The babies, after 6 weeks after birth, had to go to nurseries. There were daily, weekly, and monthly nurseries. The daily we know. The weekly nurseries mean from Monday morning to Saturday afternoon, the babies was in the institutes. As shown the graph, it was a period when the half of the population was in nurseries. What do you think? How did this generation establish its relationship with his or her mother or good? Which type of attachment formed at these children, secure or insecure? The answer you know yourself. Now, let's see the consequences. On the graph, you can see the birth number and the marriage number. This adjusted 22 years earlier to see the tension of marrying of the generations. I analyzed 3 generations, A, B, C. In the first generation, A, which began to work, which mothers began to work, the number of live births decreased with 100,000 in 8 years. But even 94% was married. They did not reproduce their number. The second generation B, which couldn't stay together with their mothers in the first year, in the childhood manifest many of behavior deficit disorders in the schools about I spoke earlier. Only 50% was married. The others live since now alone or cohabitants. Let's see the C generation. The third wave was not generated. The children born live in increasing numbers with behavior disorders. They are only child, live with single parents in patchwork families. The religiosity of the people reduced with 25%. In the society, we can experience a big lack of confidence, individualism, marginalized social groups, public health problem. Let's speak about religiosity. In addition to the fertility deficit, a strong secularization can be seen in these generations. Religiosity exercise, however, according to the research, involves better psychical and mental health. Those who prefer to practice their religion are fewer days sick and have reported significantly higher values according to the WHO's welfare questionnaire. Less depressed, less hostile, at the same time more cooperative, fewer smoke cigarettes, and etc. They have more problem-solving skills and receive more social support from their parents and colleagues. Let's see the HC. We can see the number of various populations age from 1 years to 100 years. For the sustainable development, we had to have every year 100,000 15 children. The half woman and the half man. The graph shows that we have this time only 19,000. The last generation capable of stopping the decline of crisis in 2-3 years moving out of parenting period. If we can't stop the crisis in population in these years, we arrive to a big social crisis. Our populations is aging. The pension system, educational system, free healthcare are not sustainable. upset the norms of solidarity and cooperation between the generations. Religiosity of the people continuously reduced. What can we do? The historical message: keep your mother-child relationship uncluttered. The basis, the fond of the Christian Europe, is the safe mother-to-child relationship. We can born in happy, maybe Christian marriage. There isn't alternative ways for Hungary. There isn't alternative ways for Europe. The religion does not deserve attention of itself. In the religious families born more children. Religious people spend less time in sickness, smokes less, and consume less alcohol, meaning that the practice of religion strongly reduces the risk of cardiovascular and tumorous diseases, which have the highest public health significances in Hungary. It has also been shown that the religious people are significantly more tolerant, cooperative, and are less characterized by hostility and distrust. So it's clear that the religion is an important component of the strengthening social capital. All of this can be reduced that the quality of care of infants in the first year of life has a significant impact on the physical and mental health of the society. Thank you for kind attention.